should be good. Say something, Coop.
Hello.
Okay.
It's me.
Let me open up the stream, and there's going to be some double, Okay, Cooper, I need you to speak now.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me?
Okay, the level seemed
coming
good.
Through.
It was very reflection-y there, but I think we're all good. Okay.
All right, and we're on.
Yeah. It was a bit of an ordeal to get all the stuff transferred.
But now we're out here.
Yeah, I had to, because I copied the folders, but it didn't care. I had to explicitly export the profiles and stuff. But I got it to work, and everything's still here.
Well, look, and you got your 3 monitors right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got your Minecraft Let's Plays on the left stream. You got your bank statements on the right screen.
Yeah, no.
And your podcast in the middle.
I can't really do anything else while doing this because your audio comes through on desktop.
Oh, so anything that you stream would be going through at the same time.
That's why I can't listen to any of the music at the same time. It's the only thing preventing me from watching YouTube on the side. Oh, no, I'm kidding.
Your ASMR slime videos at the same time while you're doing your podcast.
Usually I like to have at least 3 different streams going at the same time. No, I only have one thing going. I have a video game and a video. That's really all I have.
True Zoomer energy right there.
No, I always hate, like, sometimes my girlfriend will send me stuff. And he'll be like, hey, watch this. I'm like, why the fuck is there like a random video game on the side? It's like, oh, just to keep your attention. I'm like, what do you mean to keep my attention? I'm watching the video.
and yet, does it keep your attention?
No, it's distracting more than anything.
Look, everyone's got shortest attention spans now, Sam. You got to get used to it.
I mean, I have noticed my attention span is shorter, but it's long enough I can watch a 60-second video and not have to be side entertained to the thing I'm watching.
Sam, if I'm watching a video that's longer than 45 seconds and I'm not eating a meal at the same time, I die. It's required.
I will say I did run into the experience. Somebody linked a TikTok somewhere and I watched it because it started like a joke. And then it was like a minute and a half, and there was no punchline. It was just some shitty story. I was like, you wrote it like a joke, and there's no punchline?
Maybe that is the joke.
No, that's usually funny, though. And in some aspect, there was no joke here.
Maybe the joke was on you for watching it.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Have you tried any major games or renders on your new computer? See how much that puppy can handle?
I've played a lot of Factorio.
8K Factorio.
Pretty much just picked up exactly where I left off on the other PC.
HDR ray tracing. Telling you, download some Minecraft mods.
Yeah, I do. I need to set the server back up. There was another virus scare, so I gotta.
You got a virus on your new computer?
No. Minecraft. There's somebody out there who's decided that they're doing Minecraft mod coding for evil now. So I gotta update the server, and I just haven't gotten around to it because I was working on this PC.
Well, so I'm glad you got it up and running.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've already seen a marked improvement.
Yeah, I got 3 screens.
3 times the fun. 3 times the Factorio. You can have 3 games going at the same time.
I have wanted to try that, but I've been scared. It's not worked on my old PC.
Well, that's why you got the new PC.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. You want to jump into it?
Yeah, sure. Let me figure out where I am. Where am I? Here I am. Okay. I almost hit the stop streaming button. That would have been bad. Oh, and I didn't fix this scene. Okay, you do the intro, Cooper. I was too quick to switch things earlier.
Too quick to pull the trigger.
Yeah, all right, I can do it while I'm copying and pasting. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Audio Shop podcast. This week we're listening to Zombie by Fela Kuti and the Afrika 70.
Yeah, we decided
I hope I said that right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how his name's pronounced.
Don't do that.
Yeah, this is I think the first time we've reviewed an artist from Africa, which I think that means we've covered all continents except Antarctica, but no one's native to Antarctica.
Have we done Australian?
Yeah, King Gizzard is Australian.
Oh, right, I forget.
We've done plenty of them.
Have we done the India subcontinent yet?
India is part of the Asian continent. We've definitely done Asia.
Well, it's Indian subcontinent. They're on a different plate.
Yeah, but it's still part of the main continent.
Yeah.
If we're doing subcontinents, that's a lot more continents.
That's true. We have a lot to do then.
And for the main 7 continents?
Yes, Cooper, there are 7 continents.
Oh, we've done 6 of them, and Antarctica doesn't count, so
yes.
We've done all of them.
Maybe there's music from Antarctica.
Yeah, but no one's native to Antarctica, though. Right. Someone can go to Antarctica and make music. We didn't call George Harrison's album, an Indian album.
True.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time there.
That doesn't. There's a lot of pictures of penguins.
I don't think penguins make music. I wish they did. That'd be pretty cute.
I bet you could remix their cries into music.
I still don't think that technically counts as being Antarctican.
I don't know. The main vocalist is from Antarctica.
Yeah, but do penguins count as an artist if they're unaware of what music even is?
That's true. And you're the one making the music. They're not actually making the music.
It really makes you think what music is.
Not that.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to listen to an hour and a half of penguin noises. You can't make me, Sam.
Just watch March of the Penguins.
I do like Morgan Freeman. But getting back to the album here. We're listening to Fela Kuti's album, Zombie. And for a little background on Fela Kuti, he was born in 1938, died in 1997. He's a Nigerian musician, bandleader, composer, political activist, and Pan-Africanist. He pioneered basically the Afrobeat genre, as well as kind of combining West African music with American funk and jazz, which is pretty prevalent on this album, as I'm sure we'll talk about some.
Mm-hmm.
He is kind of world-renowned for his sound. And actually, digging into his background, there's a lot of interesting things, just even outside his music career that he did. Because he was born to a Nigerian women's rights activist. And in 1970, he actually founded a commune which declared itself independent from Nigeria's military rule.
Oh, that sounds like it ended really well.
It was then destroyed in 1978 in a military raid, in which he was then jailed by the government in 1984. And then he obviously continued releasing in the 1980s and 80s and 90s until his death in 1997. So obviously the Zombie came out in 1976, so kind of in between his commune being formed and destroyed. Released in 1976 and then released in Nigeria in 1976 and then in the United Kingdom in 1977. Album actually, as we'll get into, it was criticizing, not so subtly, the Nigerian government, and actually thought to have resulted in or been one of the main drivers between the destruction of his commune and the death of his mother at the hands of the Nigerian military. So obviously, the Nigerian military did not care for his music. It's not exactly open-minded to it.
I wouldn't say there's anything too crazy going on here. I'll be honest. It's no Rage Against the Machine.
I mean, it's clearly against the military, but yeah, I don't think the Nigerian government in the 1970s was particularly lenient to artistic rights.
Yeah, who knows if they are now. Actually, no, they're one of the last ones that's not had a coup in that area. I say last ones. There's several, but there's been several coups in the past few years. In that neck of the woods.
But obviously, I mean, he went to inspire a lot of different musicians, such as Talking Heads. Apparently, get some inspiration.
I can kind of see it
from his Afrobeat. They themselves were influenced by James Brown. Yeah, he was kind of interesting, kind of a half musician, half political activist, or maybe the melding of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it leads to an interesting background for this album. So with that, we can get into. He also didn't like Margaret Thatcher or Ronald Reagan.
Hey,
you want to know?
I like him all the more now. I liked his music before, but now I like it even more.
So we can get into the first track here then, with track number 1, "Zombie."
We should mention
title track.
This is a 55-minute album. There's 4 tracks,
and very much a jazz album in that sense,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Not a jazz. If you have a song less than 10 minutes on a jazz album, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you jump right into track number 1 here. Starts off with a pretty funky guitar riff.
I would call it groovy, a groovy guitar riff, Cooper.
Yeah, I think groovy would. I think a little bit of funk is there as well.
I would call the bass funky.
Yes, obviously a strong foundation of funk, bass, and like a jazz on this album, as well as a bit of a big band brass sound, where we get a lot of trumpet and saxophone on this album as well.
Yeah. We get the sax that comes in here about 45 seconds in, and it just rips all over the place.
Yeah, and this is clearly a kind of a single tank live performance album going on here. Very jam session.
Mm-hmm. Because you get the sax trading off with trumpets and some bass sax, all playing in harmony, and then every once in a while the sax just breaks out by itself and waffles over the top.
And I'm pretty sure Fela is the saxophonist throughout this album.
That'd make a lot more sense considering how much saxophone was on this album.
He is a multi-instrumentalist, so I can confirm that. But no, obviously the saxophone kind of has the main breakaway points throughout the album. As well as a little bit of trumpet, I believe.
Yes, yeah, we get a little bit of trumpet solo, which is just as good, if not better, than the sax solo. But I might be saying that because we've had a lot of sax solos on the past few albums, and it's nice just to have some spice. Variety is the spice of life.
And actually, looking at this, looks like he's a saxophonist. He's a trumpet. He plays trumpet and he plays synth. So that might explain why we get so many of those solos throughout the album.
Hey, I mean, those are the ones that are most often featured, so it just makes sense.
Yeah, no, but obviously we get a little bit of sax solo, we get a trumpet solo come in that fills in the sax solo, and then of course at like about the 5 minute mark, we get vocals as well.
Yeah, first bit of singing at 5 minutes and 20 seconds in. Which after 5 minutes, I was like, oh, okay, so it's an instrumental thing. How the heck was this controversial if there's just instrumentals? So
he gives the intro a nice long to breathe.
Yes. And then he comes in with his nice silky smooth voice. It helps that the mixing is real nice, perfectly mixed.
I really do like Fela's vocals on this album.
Yeah. Well, there's one track I'm not the biggest fan of, but this one, very nice. There's a slight echo applied as well, which makes it sound like it's being delivered on a small stage, which it might have been delivered on a small stage, and that's not a filter at all.
Yeah, honestly, not sure in what format this was recorded, but obviously, like I said, a very live-esque format.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a live song later on this album, and it sounds very similar to the rest of the album.
Yes.
But yeah, I really like Fela's vocals. Obviously, he's got a lot of energy behind him. They are in English, so we're able to get the main message of it, which throughout this song, as the name kind of implies, right? I get the sense of he's comparing the Nigerian military or their soldiers to zombies. People mindlessly following orders. Seems to be the main takeaway of this song.
Which again, really not much harsh criticism. I'll be honest. You have to have real thin skin to be upset by this.
Apparently, if you're the Nigerian military in the 1970s, then that's true.
But you get these looping chorus bits as well that back the lead vocals. It's a little heavy in the right ear. The guitar is exclusively in the left ear for the most part, so it's kind of being used to offset the guitar. It doesn't work the best, but it's not the worst example of that on this album.
The mixing overall is pretty good. And I do like the backing vocals as well. Where they kind of do the zombie refrain while Fela's singing over it.
And then we get to the 9-minute 20 mark thereabouts, and we get some real 8-bitty synth coming in, which I'm going to assume is him as well, since
I think he's also the synth player here.
And it duets a little bit with the piano, or it's the dual setting. So it's got the piano sound and the bitty synth sound coming out. I could see that because they're pretty lockstep. It leans pretty hard on the piano there right after it comes in, but thankfully the synth becomes dominant when everything breaks back out because it's a nice sound. And every song has a different synth setting, which I like.
Yeah, I have to imagine it's somewhat of a Herbie Hancock influence, since this comes out a couple of years after Headhunters, which we reviewed last week. Or at least including synth on your jazz albums.
Yes.
I'm not sure if Herbie was the one who invented that, but he definitely popularized it.
Yeah, and I mean, it just makes sense, too. It's so versatile, you can do whatever you want. So if you want to have a specific sound, by God, you can have that specific sound.
And then, of course, they have a little vocal breakdown where Fela gives like military call and response, order, dismissed, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, slightly tongue in cheek, but also getting the message across.
And then we get near the end, and it's around the 11:15 mark. Where everything drops out and it's just the sax with the occasional drum hit underneath. And the echo really goes a long way there.
Oh yeah, it really pulls you into just the pure sax performance.
It's a real nice sound.
It also ends on that little that military, like wake up call refrain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that lick is called, but you know the one.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think that's a military thing.
Yeah.
I heard that and I was like, why does that sound so familiar?
And it's actually, even though it's 12.5 minutes long, it's actually the shortest song on this album.
Yes. Yeah. So we can jump to track 2 if you're ready, Coot.
Yes, track number 2, Mr. Follow Follow. Which comes in slightly more mellow than the last song.
Yeah, it's it starts, the bass is all exclusively in the left ear, super heavily, and all the bright instruments in the right. It did not the way you balance. I did not enjoy that. The left side of my head almost felt heavier because everything bright was in the right and the bass was just boosted to hell in the left.
Pretty bass. That one didn't bother me so much on this song, though. I'll be honest. I mean, I noticed it, but it wasn't something that.
What really gets me is when bright instruments are tried to use to combat or to balance out the the dark instruments, like bass to a electric guitar. It just doesn't work. It just is. It feels uncomfortable to me.
I've really minded it that much, but you've always been a little more sensitive to that.
Yeah.
Certainly has a slightly dissonant element to it.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's the worst part of the song. It's fairly loopy for the first 4 minutes as well, up till the trumpet solo. Which, while the solo is nice, it is heavily in the right ear. And as soon as the trumpet comes in, the saxophone almost like starts fighting it for dominance and wins over and does its own solo. The trumpet only gets like a minute, and even then it's fighting with the saxophone.
Yeah, this song definitely kind of lingers on those solos for sure, but also that kind of main loop is pretty short. Though it is rather hypnotic, I will say. I didn't dislike it.
Yeah, no, I know they're great. It's like, oh, come on, give the trumpet a bit of breathing room there. It was just getting started, and then the vocals.
Yeah, I do quite like the trumpet playing on this album.
Yeah, I'm a big trumpet fan in jazz. It just works. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the vocals come in at the 7-minute 20 mark on this one.
It's almost always exactly halfway through the song.
Yeah. It was so into the jam, I forgot that there was vocals on the last one. I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting into this jazz. Oh wait, yeah, there's vocals.
And of course, Fela's leading the vocals here with kind of some call and response backing as well.
Mm-hmm.
This one kind of following a similar theme to the first one. Obviously, talking about Mr. Follow, someone who's just following orders.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of similar to the theme of Zombie of just, not really thinking for yourself and just, doing what you're told.
I will say it's very similar setup in this song to the last one. As we said, the vocals come in at about halfway point, and then we get the looping. We get the vocal line with the chorus repeating the vocal line, or the choir rather repeating the vocal line. Except this time everything's in the right ear, and the vocal, something they did to the vocals in this one, they're really sharp and a little peaky. I don't know if you picked up on that.
I did notice, yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of that.
I don't know if it's the recording environment that they did the song in, but definitely had a little more, I don't know, it's a little thinner.
I don't think it was, because you heard the first, like you've heard the rest of the vocals on this album. I think it was a stylistic choice, but it was almost unpleasant with how harsh some of it was. Which I was not a fan of.
I mean, still a good sing, but yeah, the mixing isn't quite as good on this one.
Yeah, it was very rough on the eardrum. And then around the 10:30 mark, we get some very nice light synth coming in that leaves just as quickly as it comes, and it just acts as a nice little palate cleanser.
Yeah, I do like whenever the synth jumps in at any point on this album.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of nice, especially the lighter elements kind of, overtake the heavier elements of some of these songs. And of course, it kind of leads out the song with the kind of vocalist refrain that it started on. Like I said, not a super long loop, but one that's pretty enjoyable in and of itself, and definitely a little bit funky as well.
Mm-hmm. But overall, it's a nice song.
Yeah. If you're good, Sam, we can take it to track number 3.
I am good.
Observation is no crime. It starts with a bit of a slower, almost dissonant, brass section at the beginning.
Yeah. I will also mention it is much more balanced. It leans heavier to the left now with the bright instruments, but part of that might also have just been my ears adjusting from the previous song.
Well, you did recently get that ear surgery, right?
Yeah.
So you could hear better? They made your ears bigger?
Yeah, they're I've got about a foot dish now on the ear. I can hear much better now.
It must be hard to find headphones for that, though.
Sorry, what was that? I didn't hear you.
Huh?
No. We get some nice deep trumpet around the 2-minute mark, which almost didn't sound like a trumpet at the start.
Yeah, no, I really like that trumpet solo that comes in.
That was a real nice solo. I will say...
The song's definitely a bit more mellow.
Yes.
Where it kind of floats over its own main riff.
I will say, it's a bit formulaic, I'll be honest. We've got the looping back track, the long sax/trumpet solo, followed by another long trumpet/sax solo. I think this one, it's just more noticeable because you've got those impact hits in the backing track, which are like, okay, there's the loop spot, you know?
Which, I mean, I guess is part of the formula of like a jam session, right? Where you kind of have the bass line instrumentation, then that allows for the other instruments to come in and have their solos and kind of iterate on it.
Yeah, it is, but I feel like there's just not... In this one, there wasn't enough new to kind of spice it up.
Yeah, I wasn't as in love with the main rotation on this one as with the other ones. Well, maybe do you think vocals would spice it up?
Yeah, the vocals that come in around 6:55 here.
Right about the halfway point of the song?
Yeah. Same setup as before. You got the main vocals with the choir repeating it. Vocals, though, are not harsh, thankfully. They got rid of that filter, which was not good.
Yeah, it's a lot more similar to Zombie.
Mm-hmm.
All the call and response, all the response is in the right ear.
See, I didn't notice that for the most part on this one.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me too much, but it's just something that's noticeable compared to the other songs. The song, of course, then goes from the vocals into a main sax and a trumpet refrain.
Yes, of course. You got to do it.
Can't have it without either of those.
And then we get to around the 10-minute mark. The synth comes in again quite formulaic, but this is some nice, almost rock organ at this point.
Yeah, it's a little bit different synth. Yeah, like you said, there's kind of an organish quality to it. The synth never does anything too crazy from a synth playing perspective, but it's usually always pleasant to listen to.
Yeah, it's still nice. And then everything drops out again, and the sax wraps things up. It's good, but again, we're on track 3, and it's like, okay, the previous 2 tracks kind of already did this. Can we get a little more variety?
Like the big band finish.
Yeah, because it's not so much the issue of it's just jazz. It's you're doing the same layout.
Yeah, it's a very each song kind of has a very similar formula. Which, I mean, to be fair, it's not like we haven't reviewed artists that haven't done that before.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just a bit more obvious whenever it's stretched out over, like a 12, 13-minute song.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, we're at 3 minutes. We're doing this, sax solo, trumpet solo, vocals, synth, sax, and...
But,
how about then
Yeah, I'm ready for track 4 if you're ready, Coop.
Yeah, track number 4, Mistake, which is a live at the Berlin Jazz Festival.
Mm-hmm. Very organ synth start to it almost sounds like a proper pipe organ synth.
It definitely has that kind of I don't know, breathiness, airiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the crowd loves it.
Yeah, I mean, there's live jazz is always great
because, of course, after any solo that they have, there's always the crowd cheering.
Mm-hmm. I should note, Cooper, I called my dad today, and he was excited that we listened to Herbie Hancock.
Oh, good. Well, didn't you say your dad was Herbie Hancock?
Oh, right. Yes, I forgot about that.
So you're just excited that you finally reviewed one of his albums.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that your dad's a jazz legend and we just never brought it up before this moment.
Yeah. Anyway, back to this jazz album. This one's, I would say, is a lot more similar to the first song. It's very groovy with the solos bouncing back and forth between instruments. I particularly like the trumpet solo around the 5-minute marks. It's very crisp.
I'm also a big fan of the main groove of this song, with the trumpet and the sax kind of in unison. Just it's funky,
and
that main groove is nice.
Yeah, but also for being a live take, the mixing is incredible.
Oh yeah, it's better than the mixing on Mr. Follow somehow. Yeah, it's a great live performance recording.
Yeah, it is quality. It's better than some of the the produced ones that we've listened to. And we get the first vocals here by 8:30. Really loves that long instrumental intro.
Which, I mean, I like it too.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a 13-minute song, right, there's no reason to rush to the vocals.
Yep.
I do like that brass backing on that coming after the vocals as well.
Yeah, it's the use of brass throughout this album is just great. It's hard to go wrong with that big band vibe for jazz,
especially when it's kind of paired with the more funky guitar elements.
Mm-hmm. And I will say this one feels a bit more freeform than the previous two tracks, maybe due to the very stripped down backing track during each of the solo sections. It's not as flashy, so it kind of lets the solos breathe a little bit more. I don't think the solos are as long either.
Yeah, and maybe part of that's just because it's a live performance. But yeah, I quite like this performance, actually. Obviously, it ends with a bit of a synth solo and the crowd going crazy for it.
Yeah. It ends with some nice quality synth, which, I mean, all of the synth has been nice quality.
Yeah, and that takes us to the end of the album here.
Yeah. That's the album. We've got 4 tracks to pick from. which is your let's start off positive this week. We always do least favorite first. What's your favorite track, Coop?
I'll probably say Zombie's my favorite track. Title track, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But even beyond that, it's just a very strong opener. I mean, I think it kind of presents all the elements that are going to be throughout the album, of course, in terms of the actual formula.
Yeah.
But I think it's got my favorite kind of vocal refrain. I like the trumpet in the main kind of loop of the song, and of course, it got a nice synth solo that kind of combines back with the rest of the song on the back half of the song as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a big fan of it. What about you, Sam?
I think I'll have to go with Mistake. I mean, Zombie is very, very tight second, maybe even tied. But I don't know. I like that live sound better, and I think when you've got the power of the crowd to work with, I think you give a better performance.
That's true. A nice live jazz performance is always fun.
Yeah. What about your least favorite?
My least favorite would probably have to be Observation is No Crime. I didn't care for the main kind of melody / loop on this one. It's just a lot of the song, and that obviously decreased my enjoyment there. Still pretty good, but I felt it was a little lacking there. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I also really didn't like. I think I have to place Mr. Follow as my least favorite just because of the vocals are so sharp and peaky, and the bass is entirely in the right or the left ear with nothing else. I think I dislike that more than this is just the same formula again.
That's fair. I can see that.
So that's that. Now we gotta give it a rating, Cooper, and I think I did the rating system last week. So why don't you give it a swirl?
course. I mean, here at Audio Shop Podcast, obviously we love our vehicles, especially movie vehicles. That's the kind of vehicle we don't talk about, where a movie is meant to be a driver for some career or maybe some sort of TV show. This podcast is actually a kicking off point for our own personal TV show. It's going to be a completely original idea where we're buddy cops solving music related crimes. We're currently pitching it to anyone that'll listen to us. And I haven't had any offers yet, but I feel like we'll be able to get on one of those off-brand streaming services.
Poo2.
Yeah, where it's like I'm not 100% sure this is actually something that's real or even makes money.
Is this a Red Letter Media joke, or is this a real streaming service? I'm not sure.
Well, let you decide. But of course, with all that said, we obviously use a car-themed rating system where at the tip top, we have showroom, the cream of the crop, the best. It's something you want to listen to over and over again. And way down at the bottom at Scrapyard, that's the ooh, yuck, get it away from me, bottom of the barrel stuff that you just do not want to listen to again. Then we got used rental, fixer-upper, like new, high, low, in between there, depending on our mood. So, Sam, what would you rate Zombie?
I think I'll have to give it a very mid fixer-upper. Probably, actually, maybe very high. Let's go with high fixer-upper. Maybe almost like new. But the mid section of this album is just a little draggy, especially with the peakiness and the hold on, this is formulaic. It just gets gets you down a little bit. Because normally jazz, it's jazz. You can do whatever you want. It goes all over the place, and this is quite too formulaic for my tastes. What about you, Cooper? What do you think?
Fair. I'm pretty close to it. I'll probably be a little more generous saying like a low like new. Because I enjoyed this album more than not. But I think I share all the same sentiments that you were saying. Obviously, the album, each song's very similar in terms of format.
Yeah.
But I also like the energy of the performances. I like the vocals. I like each of the individual solo performances. It maybe not super groundbreaking in that respect, but I think it's a solid jazz album. I'm certainly happy to have listened to it.
Yeah, I definitely would recommend listening to it. Maybe just not all in one sitting.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably pick out any song from this album and kind of enjoy it in isolation.
But that's the album. Now we're going to roll on over to the spare tire, which is just whatever else we've listened to this week. I don't think I listened to any music again, Cooper, I'll be honest.
Have you just given up music?
I've just been watching a lot of YouTube is the main thing. I shuffled around. I listened to some actually I have been listening to ELO again.
Classic.
And opening up Spotify, there's a new release from Dolly Parton. It's Let It Be featuring Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, so I might have to give that a listen here in a minute.
We can't escape the Ringo. He's ever present.
What about you, Cooper? What have you been listening to?
Honestly, I haven't been listening to that much this week either. I listened to Flowering by TK. But yeah, beyond that, just kind of stuck with my playlists.
Yeah.
Kind of kept it pretty mellow this week.
I booted up Hot Girl Summer for my workout. My arms are still extremely sore. That was on Wednesday, so it worked. And then I opened up my organ concerto playlist when I needed to really focus at work. But other than that, that's about it.
That's fair. Yeah, some weeks are more than others. This week was a little light for me, at least.
Well, that's the show. If you've liked what you've heard and you want to hear some more, you can scroll down on the Twitch page, click the picture of Jeff Lynne. He's the guy with the aviators and the fake afro. He'll take you to the YouTube where most of the past episodes are. And if you're listening on YouTube and want to hear us live, we're live usually Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it next week, Cooper.
Okay, well, in that case, we'll be... Well, actually, the week after is Labor Day, so I won't be able to do it that week.
I won't be able to do it then either, so we're going to be on a bit of a break here.
It's a little bit of a mid-fall hiatus.
Fall. It's still summer.
Well, Labor Day is fall, right?
Fall doesn't start until like September 21st, right?
I consider Labor Day the start of fall.
It's still pretty dang hot.
And yet we keep it cool here at the audio shop. I don't know. I went to a radio show host. Stay tuned for Billy Joel. No. But yeah, whenever we have our next episode, you can follow us at Audio Shop Pod. That's POD at Twitter. We'll let you know what we're listening to and when we're listening to it.
If Twitter exists in 3 weeks' time.
That's true. I might come back. I might be gone after Labor Day.
It's it might be about to be delisted from all the app stores, so we'll find out. But yeah, that's all we got for you today. We will see you next time.
See you later, shoppies.
See ya.